I had to really, I had a pause moment where everything was happening and said, what is my life right now? I was just living in Hyde Park, across from Lake Michigan, had a nice job, 6 figures, pension, healthcare, everything gone.
Most people read The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene to learn how to attract people. When I read it, I realized something really uncomfortable about myself. I had become the anti-seducer. The moment I realized that came from a situation that forced me to see myself more clearly. In this video, I want to talk about that archetype and how it showed up in my life. So this book breaks down different types of seducers. You got a few like the siren that showed up in my life. You got the ideal lover. You got the charismatic, who I feel like I'm most like. And the different archetypes of seducers are how people influence and get things out of others. It's very good book as far as just realizing different ways that people use seduction to get what they want. And not just sex. It's for political gain, for just financial gain. It's whatever way you find a way to get in somebody's thoughts that will get what you want out of them. Seduction. The archetype that hit me the most wasn't a seducer. In this book, it also explains the anti-seducer. And yes, I became the anti-seducer for a very, very big period of my life when I was in my addiction. The key characteristics of the anti-seducer are lack of awareness. When I was drinking, my awareness was horrible. Insecurity masters ego, big Ron, I'm this, I'm that. And really, I didn't have nothing to have ego about. I had real defensive behavior. Anytime I thought somebody was talking about how I messed up my life, I would bug up. I was just repelling everybody around, slowly. I was doing that for years, just slowly doing that. Now realizing it was me being in my addiction and becoming an anti-seducer. I started to realize that drinking became a big part of me becoming an anti-seducer. And it took a long time to contribute that to it though, because so many good things were associated with my drinking. You know, when I got my good job, what I do, I drank, I celebrated. Finally, 24 years old, making about 40 some bucks an hour, just feeling on top of the world, young, good job, good benefits, things that I didn't realize meant so much because it came so young. And no matter how many people older than me told me to hold on and appreciate it, I didn't see the gift that was placed in front of me. This job was a lottery. I got in off that and things are going well. I end up buying me a crib in Hyde Park.
Technical difficulties with the mic. We're just gonna continue this one too without it. So I had my crib in Hyde Park, and now I'm really on cloud nine. I had got out of a breakup. I'm thinking I'm leveling up, and the breakup was because of my drinking, but because my my success was still up here, I didn't even equate to how things were really coming apart, especially for me mentally. On the surface, things are still fine, but the mental was it's the slow jab, the breakdown that was still getting me. And I had moved away from my OG. I'm in the city now, more range of freedom. So now I'm leaving work to go drink, go back to my crib, get a chick, you know. And eventually he caught up with me. They gave me enough rope to hang myself, and I got suspended from the job. Depressed, started drinking more. start hanging with people who wasn't even really working like that. I was ashamed to be around my homies that knew I had a job and I wasn't working at the time, potentially getting ready to lose my job. So now I'm hanging around people who only know me for where I stay and what I can bring around. And I'm becoming more of an addict, doing harder drugs. And that was a slippery slope to where I got my job back and couldn't get past what I got into as far as a new addiction. So I was still not right. The stipulations was I had to do random drops and everything when I got back to work. I worked so early that by the time I got done turning up, everything was still in my system to the point where I got popped from the job again. Yeah. And from there, I got into more depression, became more of an anti-seducer. I wasn't pleasant to be around. I was groggy, cranky. The white man trying to get me is his fault. I lost the job, not even realizing still it was the liquor. See, I went to that job and that man knew I was lit. I knew I was lit. I told him I couldn't clock in. I'm tired. I need to go home. He said, just clock in and we'll handle it from there. The moment I clocked in, go drop. Yeah. The anti-seduction eventually led to me losing the crib in Hyde Park, life collapsing right before my eyes. When they let me go from the job, I had about 30K. I lost 30K in 3 months. I thought I was being a seducer with the money. I was really getting seduced and being an anti-seducer, slowly paying for stuff, thinking I'm the man, but still not really being liked, being tolerated enough for the resources I had. And once them was up, I lost the money, I lost the crib, and eventually I was staying in hotels. My mom paying for me to stay in hotels. I'm dealing with more below the barrel type people. You know, I'm getting constantly locked up, car getting towed. Eventually lost my car. Um, I started staying with this chick, her sister, and her guy. And this is where things really start to come to a head and where I really started getting to the point to where I had to start looking at myself clear. The guy was telling the chick I was messing with to like, look, hey, he got to go. There ain't enough rooms, already kids in this house, da, 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 da. And I get that. I understand that, you know. In my head, though, I'm like, this man ain't working either. This, oh, but that ain't my place. Who am I? He was established that he don't want to see another grown man in here around not doing nothing with him, you know, or whatever, you hear me? So, um, we leave, but she gotta go back. See, this part a little cloudy, but I'm gonna wrap it around the best way I can. But we have to go back to the crib for a reason. I find a way to get some one shotters. At that point, I'm so low on I'm just taking little cheap shots of Margaritavilles, the worst of the worst. And I'm lit. I walk in there, yeah, they just talking crazy, saying all types of disrespectful stuff, knowing dude can hit me. He hit me, fall to the ground. We tussling, you know. Uh, we get broken up. You know, I want to go get my lick back. Man, go get his gun. He pull his gun out on me. You hear me? In this moment, he could have killed me. That could have been it for Ron. I had to really, I had like a pause moment where everything was happening and said, what is my life right now? I was just living in Hyde Park, across from Lake Michigan. Had a nice job, 6 figures, pension, healthcare, everything. Gone. See, seduction is when you can use your mannerisms to get what you want and make your life a lot smoother. I became the anti-seducer to where I was losing things and made my life a lot more rugged. And I realized I had to go to rehab. The fall didn't happen overnight. It was decision after decision after decision that led to my rock bottom. That was the first time I had somebody point a gun at me. And I realized I became such an anti-seducer, so unliked. I was around a guy that really rocked with me at one point, but I anti-seduced so much I have a gun at my head right now because of this characteristic, because of my recklessness. So I went to rehab. One of the hardest decisions I ever had to make, but it was a necessary thing I had to do. And to this day, I'm still sober. I'm 1 year, 6 months sober. Becoming sober was one of the best things I decided to do. Cause now I'm rebuilding my life and I can associate good things with a present mind instead of associating good things with an absent mind due to the substance. So now I don't have to lean on the substance when I think things are going wrong. I have new ways in my mind to deal with the stresses of everyday life. Fitness, I'm fit, I'm focused, I read. Books like this didn't just help me understand people, it helped me understand myself. The psychology of how things work, how I thought I was seducing and I was the one being seduced. Seduction is bigger than just relationships. Ego can be seductive. Chaos can be seductive. Pride can be seductive. Playing the victim can be seductive. All of which I fell into in a cycle, a loop that was so seductive to me that I didn't even know what was happening. Awareness saved my life. Now I decide if I want to play or not. And most days, I choose peace. Simple as that.